Welcome to the Dynamics of Everyday Life, where we demystify some tricky concepts and get to know ourselves a little bit better. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Let's get straight in there. I'm guessing you clicked on the title this week out of pure curiosity, and I know we're all thinking the same thing, so let's address it. Did she actually say no? Well, spoiler, she did not, for reasons we are absolutely not borrowing. But stick around, it's all going to make sense. If you've never watched Game of Thrones, here's the quick version. Cersei Lannister is basically the woman who has zero people-pleasing tendencies. Excellent hair, most of the time, and the kind of boundaries most of us can only dream of. She's unapologetic, self-possessed, and absolutely not rearranging her life because someone else had poor planning skills. Now, to be clear, we're not borrowing the violence, the scheming, or the unfortunate family choices, let's just call them. We're borrowing the vibe. We're borrowing the, I know who I am, and I'm not explaining myself twice, and no, I will not be stepping into my truth today, thank you very much. That's the energy we're talking about. And she delivers one of the greatest lines ever outside of a James Bond film. Now, to protect my Apple Clean rating, we're adapting it slightly. So here's the tidied up version. You want a lady of negotiable affection? Buy one. You want a queen? Earn her. So that's our Cersei vibe that we're going with. So how do we link Cersei with everyday life? Let's start with this. Do you ever say yes when every cell in your body is screaming no? Of course you do. You're human. We all do it. Here are some classics. To see which ones you can tick off the list that you've done. The school WhatsApp chat demanding volunteers. Your neighbour asking if you can just take in a parcel for the 14th time. Now, to be fair, my neighbours are excellent. They're not like this, but I know that some people do have challenging neighbours. The friend who treats your diary like a communal resource. Doing the lion's share of the emotional labour in your friendship group. Taking on your partner's admin because it's just easier if I do it. And being everyone's default problem solver. Now, this one is really going to ring true if you're a coach. And that list is not exhaustive. I'm sure you can add 10 more without even blinking. So why does this happen? Well, Matthew Hussey, if you've not seen him before, he's an extremely successful dating coach. He would say it's because we let it happen. And he's right, absolutely. But that's not the whole truth. Why do we let it happen? Well, people push boundaries because humans test attachments, not because they're villains. And we go along with it because we want to be liked. We want to be useful. We want to be the good one. Now, from a psychodynamic perspective, overgiving is a defence. It's about wanting to be the good object, the admired one, the indispensable one. It gives us that little hit of status, especially in those school WhatsApp chats. But is Cersei Lannister emailing the PTA at 11 p.m. because someone forgot to buy cheese straws? No, absolutely not. And frankly, she carries more gravitas than the entire PTA combined, even before breakfast. People don't usually test boundaries on purpose. It's not like they wake up thinking, I'll see how many boundaries I can transgress before lunch today. It's unconscious, familiar, it's patterned. Think about where you see this in your own life. We're coming up to Christmas. This is prime season for boundary assumptions. Friends casually dropping by because they assume you're free. And a side note here, I work for myself and I have children. It's statistically impossible that I'm free. My closest friends and I plan our diaries up to a year in advance of anything fun because we're adults. not feral teenagers improvising our lives day to day. Maybe we've got some examples in work. The colleague who asks for a quick 5 minutes and an hour later you're still there, dehydrated because they grabbed you on the way to the kitchen, and you're wondering why you agreed to this. People repeat what they know. And if you've always been the one who accommodates, they'll expect it. It's not personal, it's patterned. This week I've been teaching the repetition compulsion, one of my most favourite things to talk about. And one of the aspects of this that we've been covering is just how human it is. We repeat because it's in our blueprint. Maybe we're trying to heal something old, or we're trying to master a situation. We all do it. It's not that it's something that doesn't happen to us. So, how do we apply a bit of Cersei to this? It all comes down to us valuing ourselves. And that looks like saying what you need without apologising. Charging properly if you're self-employed. I know for my fellow coaches that's a biggie. And not taking on everyone else's emotional labour because you're scared of conflict. As Cersei would put it, if you want access to my time, attention and emotional bandwidth, you earn it by being respectful, reciprocal and grown up. From a psychodynamic perspective, undervaluing yourself creates skewed parent-child dynamics, and that's why resentment builds. Think about the classic restaurant scenario. You're the designated driver. You've had a side salad and a lime soda, and everyone else is eating and drinking like they're carb loading for the Olympics. The bill arrives, and there's that breezy, "Shall we just split it?" No, we shall not. Can you imagine Cersei being okay with that? She's hardly reaching for her Amex saying, "Don't worry, it all works out." She's paying for what she had, and not a penny more. Especially if she's driving everyone home. Now, I get that boundaries are hard. It's difficult to go against a dynamic that's been alive for years. But boundaries actually make relationships better. In psychodynamic terms, this is containment. Boundaries tell people where the edges are. And once people know where the edges are, then they relax. So, what's the first thing you do when a roller coaster safety bar snaps down? You test it, other than regret all your life choices. You want it to hold because that's what makes you feel safe. And it's the same in relationships. It's not about being icy, it's about being clear. This is who I am, and this is what you can expect from me. And that reduces anxiety. When you hold your boundaries, the relationship stops wobbling. And nothing deepens a relationship more than two grown adults both knowing where the no is. I've talked before about my beloved friend Steve, and people often ask if there was ever anything more there between us than friendship, and there never was, which made it one of the safest relationships of my life because we always knew exactly where we stood. Now, all of this shows up in coaching too, just supercharged, because the work is intimate, emotional, and high trust. So what does this look like in coaching? What does overgiving look like? It's extending sessions, it's letting clients pay late, it's overstretching for their convenience. Maybe it's taking responsibility for their progress. We've got some classic boundary testing examples like, can you just squeeze me in at 7 a.m? No, I can't. Last minute cancellations, maybe wanting more access than agreed. But we sprinkle a little bit of Cersei energy around and that changes everything. We don't shrink when we say our price. We don't apologise for our expertise. And we understand that fee, boundaries and structure are all part of the professional frame, the ethical container that allows clients to do real work safely. My invitation for you this week is for you to notice where you could benefit from a bit of Cersei energy. Where could your boundaries use a little tightening? Which relationships wobble because the edges aren't clear? And, as always, Give yourself some grace. We don't do any of this to make life harder for ourselves. We're making the decisions that seem right at the time, even if they're the ones that are tripping us up. Now, if you can't wait for the next episode, you can join my Monday LinkedIn Lives. They're also now on Facebook. My IT skills are growing daily, and I'm there most Mondays at 2:30. If you can't make it, the recordings are on my YouTube channel, unless it's a bank holiday, in which case I will be feet up watching a James Bond film. And just before we close, my Essential Psychodynamics for Coaches course starts again in January. And the first 2 cohorts have been absolutely fantastic. Brilliant coaches, deep conversations, huge amounts of learning. People are already enrolling for January, so if you're curious, you're interested, drop me a DM or an email and we'll have a chat. And finally, this work can be unsettling and illuminating in equal measure, so do it at your own pace. If you want to learn more about psychodynamics, and quite frankly, who wouldn't, or explore some coaching, supervision, training or mentoring with me, there's a link in the show notes. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Dynamics of Everyday Life. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. As well as producing this podcast, The Dynamics of Everyday Life has lots more psychodynamic fun going on, and you can find out more at dynamicsofeveryday.life.